Hello and welcome back, finally, to part 3 of the Modeling a Shipping Container series. I know it's been a really long time, actually, since we last touched this, and I do apologize for the delay, but we're going to jump right back in where we left off, which, if you look at the screenshot here, we can see, we've got basically all of our base modeling done, and now we just need to go in and do a lot of the detail modeling, fix up some areas, and just kind of polish it off. Now, chances are we're not going to be able to do it all in this one section, but we should make some really good progress. So looking at it in Blender, we can kind of see where we're at. Again, we've got most of our base modeling done, particularly a lot of the detail right in here along the front and things like that. So what I want to do is I want to start off by working on the side, namely right in here. And so let's first take a look at these side parts here and the hinges and such. So looking at our references here, we can see a couple of things. First off, we want to go ahead and finish these hinges. Right now, these are strictly squares, but let's go ahead and add in the rounded aspect. We're going to go ahead and start subsurfing things and really taking it up. So with this selected, I'm going to hit Shift Space to leave my full screen mode. I'm going to go ahead and I can see the modifiers that I've got here. I've got the mirror, the array, and then I'm going to add in a Subsurf Modifier on top of this. I'll just click Add Modifier, Subdivision Surface, and let's go ahead and choose, we'll just go to level 2, let's turn on Optimal Display, and then let's hit 1 to go into our front view, and we'll hit Tab to go right into Edit Mode, and then I want to just go on, and let's first add in 2 loop cuts right around the center or across the center horizontally, so that's Control R, and then scroll up once and left click. Then we'll hit S and Z to scale them up along the Z axis right towards the edge. Let's go ahead and we can select everything, W, and Shade Smooth. I want to go ahead and add in another one right across here, right up to this edge, so we get a nice sharp edge right in there. So we can see that we're getting, this effect right in here and in here. We don't want it too sharp, but just sharp enough to get us a good edge. We'll do the same thing right there. And that just about does it for that hinge. And in fact, we're going to go ahead and leave it right there for the time being until we get a little further on the rest of it. So let's go ahead now, and I want to add in a Subdivision Surface Modifier to the main frame, or this part right here. So we'll go ahead and toggle these modifiers down, add in the Subsurf, and again we'll set this to level 2, Optimal Display. Then we can also hit Smooth Shading from here from the toolbar. Then we'll hit Tab to go into Edit Mode and add in our edge loops right here. I'll add in an edge loop all the way up to there. And it looks like I have something very funky going on there. Oh, this is because I have the Solidify Solidify on. So let's go ahead and apply our Solidify modifier, and that way that'll give us a much more accurate look at our mesh. We can slide that up a little bit more. These have kind of a rounded surface to them, but we can make it a little sharper by adding in, say, a loop, or actually let's go ahead and do 2 loops right along there. That will sharpen that up pretty nicely. Then let's also go ahead and add in 2 right here. So again, that's just Control R, scroll up once, then we'll hit S and Z, scale that up. And this actually needs to be pretty sharp right in there. And I'm going to go ahead and select my hinge and this side piece. I'm going to hit Shift H just so I can focus exclusively on it. And let's go in and look at the bottom here. We'll add in another edge loop right down to the bottom there. And let's also add one right to the back like this. So we'll just take that right up, and that pretty much finishes that off. Although now you can see that I need to go in and duplicate the loops that I have here. So we'll just do this, add in 2 loops, scale up along the Z-axis, and there I was scaling a little too far. If you hold down Shift, you can make it more accurate and a little easier to work with. There we are. And finally, one last time right here. Okay, so now that pretty much finishes that. and we can just leave that right where it's at. So I'm going to go ahead and in object mode, I'll hit Alt-H to unhide everything. And let's grab the door panel here, and we're going to go ahead and add in a Subsurf modifier to it as well. So Subsurf, toggle down the mirror on this. We'll set the views to 2, optimal display, and then obviously the first thing we want to do is add in a couple loops right across the edge or vertically here, and then we'll hit S, scale out along the X-axis, bring it right up there so these are nice and sharp. And then we can also go ahead and add in 2 loops horizontally as well for each one of these. If I hit S, Z, and hold down Control. Oh, and let me change my increment snap over to my snap type to increment. So now I can just hit S, Z, hold down Control, and take it up to right about there, giving me a nice sharp edge. And we'll need to add in another loop. First off, hold on. I have what appears to be some messed up vertices. Not sure what happened here. Oh, it looks like I just actually took this a little bit too far. So we'll hit S and Z. Or actually, look, it's actually just on the bottom, it would seem. So we're going to go ahead and select this. Let's first hit X, delete the edge loop. Then we'll select the bottom one. Hit X, delete the edge loop. And then let's look at what we need to do to fix that. So first things first is I want to straighten these out. So I'm going to select this vertex, hit Shift, or actually, no, let's just select these, hit Control-Shift-Tab, switch to vertex snap, hit G, Z, hold down Control, snap to there. And then we'll just do that for each one of these to line them up evenly. Okay, there we are. Now we can actually go in and add in our loops. So we'll do this one at a time. S, Z, switch back to increment snap, and go up to about right there. And again. And again. And you notice sometimes if you go off screen, then it kind of flips out. And then we also need to do it on the top and bottom. And on the middle ones, we can do it, do 2 loops and then slide them in. And again, same thing here. There we are. Okay. We want to again do it vertically as well. So add in 2 loops, then SX, slide them across, just like that, and then add in another one right there and right there. And then we can Alt-Shift right-click, select both, hit S and X, and scale them in. And that will make it nice and sharp. And you can see that let's see, where did I forget my, I forgot my loops. Right there. And right here. Now that's all nice and sharp. And then I can add in one at the top and one at the bottom. And another one right through here. And one right in the middle. Now, on some of these, you could go ahead, if you wanted, and use the edge crease function, which is right here, where if you say select maybe these edges, or edge loops, all the way around the perimeter here, you can use the crease and crease those up, and that will get you a nice, sharp surface. Now, something to note with these is that you want to be not so much careful with them, just be aware that it's not a perfect solution. Oops, I keep losing track of my view. There we are. So if you look at this, if we were to actually remove some of these extra loops in here, which for some reason we have 3 all the way along there, which I don't know why we do. Let's remove that one. We'll remove that one. the creasing works pretty well, but it's not always going to do enough. So a lot of times what I like to do, if we're going to use the creasing, is to combine the two. So if we set this to, say, maybe a 0.5 crease, then we get a little bit of rounding on it, which looks good, but we still get our creasing as well. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. What the point that I was originally trying to make was that if you do only the creasing, you're generally not going to get a sharp enough edge than if you are as you want. And so it's good to combine the creasing with the subsurf. Now, in this case, I'm actually going to not use the creasing at all, simply because we actually want the slightly rounded surfaces, and it's very easy to just quickly add those in with the edge loops. And the reason we want these kind of rounded surfaces is because you know, since this is basically molded metal, we don't have any super sharp edges on this part of it, and so we will actually want to keep that slightly rounded feel rather than going for the super, you know, crisp, sharp cuts. But that is also entirely up to you for what you want to do. Now let's go ahead and do this centerpiece here. You'll notice that we need to add in another ridge in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a loop cut right about here. Then I'm going to hit S, Z, and 0 to scale that in. And then what I'm going to do is, let's hit Control Tab, switch to face mode. I'm going to grab these faces through here. And what we want to do is basically take it up just a little bit less than this right here. And also notice that it only comes to the edge of our hinge. So let's hit Alt-H in edit mode, or in object mode, so we can see where our hinge is. So let's grab it from here to here, and then all the way in to the center. Yeah, basically to the center. Because then we're going to come down just like this. Take it all the way down. Oops, but I don't want to select those. And then at the bottom, again, it goes to about right there. So actually I need to add in another edge loop to about there. S, Z, and 0. Switch back to face mode. And then I will grab these faces and on up the center. There we are. And I just want to extrude this out slightly less than this here. So from the side view, I'm just going to go in. I'm going to hit E to extrude, take it out about halfway there. And that will just about do it. But to make it nice and sharp, I will go ahead and add in another edge loop just like that right around the edge. And that will sharpen that up plenty for this. And then I can also go ahead and add in another loop right up to there to sharpen it, and another loop right to there. And I need to do the same thing right along the bottom. So I just add in 2, scale it up, and another one right there. And that gives me a nice sharp form. So saving my file, I now want to add in, you'll notice that we have this piece here because this is a non-symmetrical piece. And so with this door done, I'm going to go ahead and apply my mirror modifier. So I'll just click apply. And then what I want to do is to bring this edge down and around, extruding it out such that it overlaps this other door here. So the way that I'll do that is, let's see if we look at this. Let's just hit Control Tab, let's go into face mode. And I want to, let's see. This side is going to be on top of this one. And let's go ahead and select all of these faces right in here, all these side faces along the inside edge. We'll just do this from top view. So from top view, let's go in and I'm going to select all these faces right there, all the way down. I'm going to hit X, delete the faces, because then I'm going to go ahead and select all these faces by Alt right clicking. I will select those all the way down. I can switch into front view, zoom in, and deselect all the ones that don't make up the side of this. So I'll deselect that one there, scroll down to the bottom, and I'll deselect these here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch into vertex mode. I'm going to hit Control-Shift-Tab, switch to vertex snapping, and then I'll hit E to extrude, Y, hold down Control, go to right there, and then again to there, select everything, W, and remove doubles. Then I just need to select from here, select those vertices, and I'm not sure if this will work, but I might be able to do it. Select these ones up here and do W and vertex path. And no, you can only do it between two vertices. So instead, again, we'll do it from the top view, which in this case doesn't have anything but the faces selected, aside from other vertices. So let's just hit X, delete faces, and that will remove those interior faces, such that now what I'll do is I'm going to bring this down and then over and across. This will all make sense in just a moment. Let's grab this edge. I'm going to pull this over. Or actually, let's go ahead and take this edge. We're going to bring it over a little bit. Let's also go ahead and select from here down that whole side. We're going to pull it in just about a notch. We'll do the same thing over here. Select this, pull it in one notch. And then what I want to do is actually bring out all these faces to this edge, and then we'll actually bring it out a little bit further. So let's hit Control R, add in a loop there. We're going to hit G, Y, snap to right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and select these faces. Or actually just these faces and these faces. Hit X, delete faces. Do the same thing right here. Then I'm hitting Control Tab, switch into face mode. Hit E to extrude, Y, and again, snapping both times to those. Select these faces here, hit X, delete faces. Select everything, W, remove doubles. Just remove these ones right in here. So now I want to select, or actually we need to add another edge loop, which then will snap along the Y-axis to there. Again, we'll remove those, and then I'm going to select these faces. Oops, Control Tab, switched there. Select these, and I want to grab these all the way down, because then we're going to extend them up to that ridge, and then we'll extrude them over as well. So you can see we're going to need to do this whole process at the bottom as well. But let's just hit E to extrude, snap to right there, select this face, hit X, delete faces, W, remove doubles after selecting everything. Go down. And I just want to take this face, E to extrude, and we're just each time going to snap it to right there. Let's select these interior faces and these ones, and then select everything, W, and remove doubles. Because now what we can do is we will take this whole surface, take that all the way down, and select these ones on the top. And we're going to go ahead and hit E to extrude, take it out a bit, about like that. And then we're going to, let's Alt-right click on this edge and click Hide. And then we can Alt-right click on that edge to select all of those, such that we only have this side face. And then we're going to hit E to extrude and take it over along the normal to about right there, such that it overlaps the other side. Then we can go ahead and add in an edge loop right across there. Now let's hit Alt-H, reveal everything, and there we go. We now have our nice overlap. So I know that probably seemed overly complex, but it worked out well. We can go and add in another loop right there. We'll sharpen that up, and maybe we'll add in another one right there to sharpen that as well. Maybe another one there. And I think that will be good to go. Anything else, and you probably won't ever notice, although we might add another one in right in there. So you can tell, like, we could be doing a lot of these hard edges with creases and save a lot of geometry, but when it really comes to modeling quickly, to select just the edges you want and add in those creases is actually far slower than adding in the extra loops, as long as you have good topology. So as long as you've got good, clean topology, you can just add in the loop real quickly and go with it. Now, the other argument against that is if you have a limited amount of polygons that you can use, or you're doing a very complex, large scene and need to really save on render times and things like that, then the edge creasing is a good way to go. And admittedly, the edge creasing does leave you with a cleaner mesh. It may not be quite as sharp in some areas, but if you don't need that, fine. But again, there's arguments for both sides. And I know I've had a lot of people ask me, why don't you use the edge creasing? And this is pretty much it, is that it's much easier and quicker to go in and just add in an extra loop than to try and select all those edges real quick, deselect the ones you don't want, and then use the edge creasing and get it to where you want. Whereas the edge loop, if I want to make this less sharp, well, I'll just pull that over. I can grab that one, I'll pull that over. I could add in a couple loops real quick. So as long as you don't have to worry about your poly constraints too much, then I personally find the edge loops to be quicker. Okay, so that pretty much does the door right there as far as the paneling. Let's go ahead and do these up and down beams, or the poles, I guess they are. And first things first, let's go ahead and select them, and let's toggle down our array and our mirror, and we're going to click Add Modifier, Subdivision Surface. Then we'll set up to 2 and Optimal Display. Let's also hit T to bring up our toolbar, and we'll click Shading Smooth. So we can see those now. And what I want to do is to go ahead and add in these little pieces right here. And some of these, looks like the ones at the bottom are different. Okay, the ones at the bottom and top are different than the ones in the middle. So let's do the bottom and top first. Oh, actually, looks like we've got ends on both of these. So let's do the bottom of these first. So let's select the pole. And you'll notice that we're just going to put in this little cap, basically. Or actually, I guess we can see it. Oh, never mind. Looking at it over here, we can see that that's not the case, and it's actually going to be something like that. So let's not do that just yet. Instead, we're going to go ahead and do the holding brackets. So first, on this side, looks like we've basically just got a bracket that holds it, and then these two brackets, or the ridges right above it, hold the pole from sliding up and down. So let's go ahead and do that real quickly. I'm just going over to my other computer real quick to kind of look at some of the other references so I can get a good angle while I'm working. And what we'll do now is let's hit Tab to go into edit mode. I'm just going to select this right here. I'm going to hit Shift S, cursor to selected, and then I'm going to go ahead and, while in edit mode, I'm going to hit Shift A, add in or actually, let's just select this circle. We're going to hit Shift D, then right click to cancel the movement, and then hit P to separate by selection, hit Tab to leave edit mode, and then let's go in, let's select that curve. So now it's already got all of our modifiers applied. We can just hit Tab to go into edit mode, and let's see, we can see this is just right in on here. So I'm just going to pull this up to right about there, and then let's just hit E to extrude, S to scale it up just a bit. Then let's select everything, and we're going to hit E to extrude, then Z to go up along the Z axis, take it up to right about there, about the correct height. And then you can see we want to add in these kind of corner, or these brackets right here to hold the nuts. And what it looks to me like is that we want to go into, let's select this, we're going to hit 7 to go into top view. And we're just going to select these here. We're going to hit X, delete the vertices. Then we're going to select these, hit E to extrude, Y to lock along the Y axis, pull this back, and then we're going to left click, and then I'm going to do this one at a time. So I'm first going to, actually, let's take these back a little bit, and I'm going to take this, hit E to extrude, right click. Let's rotate this negative 45 degrees like that. Take it back just a bit, and then extrude again. Take it out along the x-axis, rotate negative 45 degrees again, such that it's perfectly straight. Pull that straight up there, and we can grab this. Actually, no, let's just pull these back, and then we'll pull this back to right there. If I switch to vertex snap, I can pull that back, and then we'll go ahead and pull all of these forward just a bit like that. and then hit E to extrude again, pull this out, and then hit F and fill in a face. Now you can see we want to pull this out a fair bit further. You know, we need to go out enough to hold the nuts. So we'll pull them out about like that. And let's go ahead and add in 2 loop cuts, S and Z, scale it up, select everything, W, and shade smooth. So we've got the black line, so hit Control N to recalculate the normals. And then what I'll do is I'm just going to select this side. I'm going to hit period to scale around the cursor, which is still in the center there. If it's not, then you need to hit tab to go into edit mode, or object, no, excuse me. You just want to hit tab, leave edit mode, select this circle, and then go ahead and recenter the cursor right around there. Because now, with this centered around the cursor, I can hit Shift D, right click, and then S, X, and -1 to just flip that across and mirror it. Then I can select everything, W, and remove doubles. And that gives me that bracket. Now, you'll notice that our distance is no longer correct because the array is using our relative offset rather than the constant offset. So let's just uncheck that. We're going to use our constant offset, and then we'll just scale this up along the x-axis until it's correct. So if I hold down Shift, I can get this real accurate, and it looks like it's going to be right at 4, or 0.4. A little less than 0.4. Let's go 0.395, and that's pretty much perfect right there. Okay, we actually want to duplicate this up to the top, and so I'm going to add in another array modifier, but this one we're going to get rid of the X offset, and let's just take this up along the Z, hold down Shift, I can make it nice and accurate, and let's just zoom in here, and then we'll take it down to about right there. And looking at that, let's now go ahead and take this whole side, or all of this, down a bit to about right there. And in fact, maybe we need to add in another edge loop there to make that nice and sharp. We'll hit S, oops, I'm going to hit comma and then S, or S, Z, and then 0 to just flatten that out. And then we'll add in another one right over here, do the same thing. And we can just be consistent. Let's hit G, Z, and hold down Control and snap right to one of those vertices just so they're nice and lined up. And I apparently messed something up. Oh, S, Z, 0, and hit G, Z, and well, I don't know what I did there, but okay, I just undid it, and now it looks good. We can go ahead and slide these back down just a little bit, say to right about there. 2.05 looks pretty good. And let's go ahead, go back to our original one, and I'm going to hit Control Tab, go into face mode, select this face, hit Shift S, cursor to selected, and then I'm going to, let's go in and look at these, and you can see it's basically just a nut with the bolt sticking through, so it's been bolted on from the outside, or from the inside. And so what I want to do is we're going to go ahead and use an add-on. So let's go into the user preferences, because there happens to be a bolt factory script included with Blender. So if we look at the add mesh category underneath bolt factory, we can go ahead and enable that and hit X, hit tab to go into edit mode on this, and we're going to hit Shift A, add in a bolt. And if we hit F6, then we can get the type, and we want the model to be a nut. And I'm not sure why we got both of those. And that default preset should be just fine. The bit type doesn't matter because we're not going to see it. We don't care about that, although we could go ahead and give it a dome head. Hold on one moment. I had multiples, it seemed. Now we'll change this, go back to a nut, change the preset. These are just different sizes, so we can just leave it at the default. Hex, we don't care. Head type, doesn't matter because we're doing the nut. And that's all fine and dandy. Let's hit Shift A, add in a bolt now. And on this one, just for the sake of it, just so that, you know, since we're doing it anyway, we can go ahead and change the head type to a dome. Be about like that, because that's probably what they're going to use on this. And then let's select both of these. And we'll go ahead and hit tab to go, or let's hit Control J to join them, tab to go into edit mode, and then hit period, rotate around the cursor 90 degrees, like that. And then we're going to scale it way, 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 way down. And down even further to about right there. Then we can take it out along the y-axis. And then we'll take it up along the z-axis. And it seems that I did not take those far enough back, so I'm going to select all these. So I just Alt-Shift right-clicked on the edges between them. And if you were to go into vertex mode, you notice that all of these are now selected. And so what I want to do is just hit G, Y, hold down Control, snap right to, well, I want to go to one of those vertices. Get an angle where we can really see this. G, Y, snap right to there. There we go, that's perfect. Then I can go ahead, select everything, Control N, fix that. Take this further back. To right about there. And then what I'll do, just because we don't need all this extra detail, I'm going to go in and just select everything from here out, hit X, delete the vertices because we don't want to see them. And on this, then I'm going to select it, select this, Control J to join them. Now, for a moment, you're probably thinking, well, we don't want the subsurf on there because that's just wasting tons and tons of memory. And that's true. But what this is going to allow me to do is now to duplicate this down like that. And you'll notice that, yes, it is remarkably slow right now. So let's go ahead and just disable the subsurf for a moment. We'll take that to right there. We'll select both of these, Shift D, take it over. Go back to increment snap, no wonder. There we go. And now go over maybe just a little bit more. Take these ones down just a little bit more. Because now I can go ahead and select these. I'm going to hit P, separate by selection. And take just a little bit, select these, get rid of the subsurf on them, and now I have perfectly duplicated bolts all the way across using those arrays that I had already set up. So then saving this, that sets up that piece, and now I can just go in and I'm going to, give me just a moment. There we are. We want to go ahead and do the bottom pieces, although let me check our time. And our time's not doing too bad. We're sitting at 32 minutes. So we'll go just a little bit further in this. One thing we can do is to add in this piece here, which will be really easy. We'll just select the door, and it's right in line with this. So I'm going to hit Control Tab, go into face mode. I'm going to select these three faces, hit Shift D, right click S, or first then comma to scale towards individual centers. And then I just want to scale this down just a little bit to shrink it, because if we look at our reference, we can see it's about the size of the smaller part of this opening. And then we'll just hit E to extrude, take it out along the y-axis a little bit there, hit E to extrude again, take it out there, and maybe we'll rotate or hit Control Tab, deselect this side of it, maybe select these. We can pull them back just a bit, and then we're going to select this side, and we'll hit E to extrude, take it out just a little bit along the x-axis, and then we'll take it out again. And actually, looking at this, 1 second, I think I mixed something up. And well, I don't know. Actually, I'm looking at this and trying to decide what on earth this piece actually does. Because if you look at our reference, you can see that it's clearly this right door overlaps the left door, but then this doesn't seem to do anything. But it's clearly there, so we're not going to worry about it. We're going to go ahead and put it in, but I have no idea what it does. So if somebody happens to have a clue, do feel free to enlighten me. But we can see exactly what we have right here. So I want to get those kind of nice angles on there. So the way that we'll do that, so we're going to add another loop right through there, and we're going to select the top and bottom vertices and hit G and X, pull those over like that, and we'll add in 2 more loops, scale them up, and that will give us that nice angle there. We can also add in a loop right there to get that angle. And that will add in that piece. That again, I have no idea what it does, but we're going to use it. Okay. And let's see, we should probably go ahead and do these bottom pieces, but I'm going to save that for the next section when we do these. So then we'll also do these down here, which you can see more clearly at the top here. And so what I want to do instead is to go ahead and work on these top squares, because they're a bit of a pain maybe. But let's start by adding in a Subsurf Modifier so we can kind of see what we have. And you can see pretty clearly that we need to add in some loops. So let's first, in object mode, hit Shift H to hide everything else. And then we're going to go ahead and add in a loop right across to there. And we'll add in 2 along the bottom. And another one right across to there. And I'm going to just pull up the reference on my other machine here, just so that I can look at it more clearly. Okay. So, what we want to do is we want to add in on this. Let's hit Alt-H real quick and kind of see what all this covers. We can see that it's doing the top and the sides here. Now on the top, we actually need a small ridge right in here. So let's add in a loop right up to the top. Let's add in 2 loops right here, S, Y, scale them out. And then I actually want to, let's select the corner block and we're going to hide it for the time being. Let's also Shift H in object mode to hide everything else. Select everything and shade smooth. And let's see, I want to go ahead, excuse me, we're going to add another loop to right about there. And we're going to select these 2 loops, hit E to extrude, take it out just a little bit. And then extrude once more, take it out a bit further. And actually, I'm going to undo that because we want these top 2 loops. There we are. So we'll take that out and that out a bit more. Select everything and Control N. We can also select these faces, hit X, delete faces, hit Alt-H to unhide our block. And let's go ahead and add in 2 loops in each direction, so that we can make this nice and square. About like that. And then this side needs to actually be nice and round. And so let's select these, and we'll first grab these edges, pull them over like that. Then we'll grab these ones, or these ones. Here we go. We're going to pull them down, and then we can actually grab this edge and pull that down as well, giving us a nice rounded edge on those. We'll select everything, W, and shade smooth. And then let's go ahead and take this edge over quite a bit more to right there, because that needs to be nice and sharp. And that also actually defines, let's see, this whole thing needs to actually scale up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that vertex, hit Shift S, cursor to selected, then I'll select the whole box and hit period and scale away from the cursor, about like that, because it actually needs to go above and outside everything else. And right now this is not being replicated across, so let's actually go ahead and let's select this one. We're going to hit X, delete the vertices, and we're also going to select this, hit period or P to separate by selection, and then let's go ahead, select this. Let's add in an edge loop right in the center that we're just going to hit Shift S and cursor to selected. And then actually we're going to position the cursor right there, Shift S and cursor to grid. The reason being is now I'm going to select this, hit Control Alt Shift S, or excuse me, Control Alt Shift C, and hit origin to 3D cursor, because now I can go ahead and set the mirror along the Y and the X axis. And if I unhide everything, then we can see that this is mirroring quite nicely. So on this, you can see that actually things are starting to come together really nicely. What I want to do is I want to add in 2 edge loops right here and 2 edge loops right here, and then on each one of these, we're going to flatten them out. So first you can see I need to hit comma to scale towards the individual center. I'm going to hit S, Z, and 0, and do the same thing for each one of these, although these two I'll do along the x-axis. And the reason being, now I can just go ahead and select these, and I'll hit S and X, scale these out, and I'll select these two, scale them up, and that will allow me to punch a hole right in here. Maybe we'll go ahead and select this edge. We'll pull that up just a little bit, say to right there. Still get a nice rounded edge on there. And then I'm going to, let's see, this is actually slightly taller than it is wide. Doesn't need to be perfectly square. So we can select this, or actually let's grab this one. We'll bring it over a bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit Control Tab, select this face, and hit E to extrude. Take it in just a little bit. Then E to extrude again. I'm going to take it quite a ways in, and I'm going to hit X, and, oh, actually, no. I want to only take it in just a little ways, because then we're going to hit X and delete faces. Okay. And that will be good right in there. Then we're going to do the same thing on the top. So again, we'll just add in 2 loops, Control Tab, Vertex Mode, S, Y, scale that up. And actually, let's look at something. By hitting N, we're going to scroll down and view the edge length, and we can see that this edge right here is 0.071 wide. And so let's take this, we're going to hit S, Y, scale it in to 0.071. So now these will be the exact same size. Now we can select this, hit E to extrude, take it in just a little bit, and then E to extrude again, take it in a bit more, and hit X and delete faces. And that will give us those holes right there. Now we need to again do the same thing right here, which we should, everything is still good, so it's all the same size. So we'll take this one, hit E to extrude, take it in just a little bit, and then again, hit X and delete faces. And there we go. That gives us those holes right there. Now this piece actually, if you look at our reference, let's see if you can see it. You can't really see it right here. Well, you kind of can. This edge actually is going to stop right at this block. So let's go into this piece. And what I want to do, let's select just these 2 pieces. Oops, this piece and that piece. There we go. And hit Shift H just so we can kind of clear it up. I'm going to grab this edge. I'm going to pull it over along the x-axis to right there. I'm going to add in an edge loop to right there, and I'm going to select all these, hit X, and delete vertices. And then we could go ahead and add in an edge loop right, or actually let's select this. I'll pull it up along the z-axis just a little bit. Let's add in an edge loop over to right here. Then we'll select these, pull them in just a little bit, and add in an edge loop right there. And now we can no longer see through except to the back of this. So now we can just hit Alt H, unhide everything, and there we go. We're making some really, really good progress. Obviously we have a ways to go, but one thing I will do, since we've got this here, let's just go and add in our Subsurf Modifier to this. So we'll click Add Modifier and Subdivision Surface. Let's go ahead and delete these top faces and the bottom faces. Select everything, W, and Shade Smooth. I'm going to go into Top View, and I'm going to hit Control R. And even though you can't see it, I happen to know that the loops are added right there just by the fact that my mesh, or my cursor is right over it. I'll hit S, Y, bring these up over like that. And that will sharpen those up very, very nicely. And then we might go ahead and add in 2 on here as well. Scale them along the y-axis to right about there. You'll notice that I'm not putting any on the diagonal surfaces here because they're just not going to work as well. And that clears that up very, very nicely. And then what I want to do is I want to do the same thing on the top. And so I'll hit Control R, add in 2 loops right to, oops, went a little far, right there, and then 2 loops there. Let's go ahead and select these side faces. Hit X, delete faces, delete these ones as well. Move those up, and now these should not be over the top surface there. So let's just hit G, Z, and pull them down just a little bit, like that. And then we've got our blocks here on this side. So let's go ahead and we're just going to select these, select these blocks, and hit X, delete vertices, just because I don't remember exactly how this one's constructed, but I do know that these are going to be the same. And so let's go ahead and add in another mirror modifier to it. But on this, we're only going to mirror along the y-axis, and we're going to hit Shift S, cursor to selection, then add in an empty. So hit Shift A, add in an empty. That's empty 0.001, or yeah, and we're going to set the mirror object to our empty 0.001, and that way it'll mirror perfectly across, just like that. And then, oops. There we go. Oh, and that is a quick little trick. If you, say, lose track of your view like this, but you know you have an object selected, just hit period or dot on your number pad, but only on the number pad, and you'll zoom right to your selected. Okay, so we're pretty much out of time, so we need to go ahead and call it quits for today, but I think we've made a lot of progress, and it definitely feels good to get back to this model. I think by the end, it'll be a pretty nice model all in all, so we're making a lot of good progress, and apologies again for the extreme weight on it, but we'll follow up with the next part as quickly as we can. Thanks again for watching.